Today, we become legends.
So Lancelot has finally hit the battleground of the gods, and I for one couldn't be more excited about a new Arthurian god coming to the game. Visually, he looks stunning, but let's get to what you all came for, his ability overview. So a couple things to start, Lancelot will be an assassin. I know a lot of people were assuming he'd be a warrior, but with the very recent release of Shiva and Arthur already being an Arthurian warrior, I had a hunch this guy was not going to be one, but we know for sure now that he's an assassin, a somewhat stance-switching assassin at that. He has the extended melee attack range that gods like Achilles and Achilles get due to his lance, and he will also have a cleave hit as the final swing on his chain. But getting into his actual abilities, first up we have his passive, Camelot's Quest. After a god kill or assist or 5 minion kills, Lancelot gains a stack. These cap at 60 stacks total and provide either increased movement speed while mounted or reduce basic attack damage from directly in front when not mounted. We'll get into the whole mounted stuff a bit later on. So this passive truly is passive. You're not going to need to pay attention to this one in game, it's just going to slowly scale up your character over time to be faster or better at blocking basic attacks respectively. At max 60 stacks, this provides 30% movement speed and 30% basic attack damage reduction, but of course you only get one of those at one time depending on if you're mounted or not mounted. Lancelot's first ability is Piercing Thrust. He dashes forward and thrusts with his lance, dealing damage to enemies in its path. If he hits an enemy, he may dash again within 3 seconds. So this ability is very simple, and that's sort of the theme within Lancelot's kit. There's only really one ability here that is super complex, and the rest are very basic, but still look super fun to use. Double dashing is fun on Achilles and Nemesis, it will be on Lancelot as well. But moving on to skilled strikes, this is a small cone damage that pushes enemies back, then a follow-up attack at further range that does more damage the further enemies are from you. So the basic idea here is that the first hit pushes them away to connect the second hit for big damage. Again, a pretty simple ability, but the way it's animated makes it look like a hoot to use in game, to be honest. Much like Nemesis and Achilles, you can use your first dash, then use other abilities in between and finish up with a second dash. But keep in mind that you only have 3 seconds to use the follow-up dash or it will expire and go on cooldown. But moving on to Lancelot's third ability, this is where some of the complexity comes into play. On use, Lancelot mounts up and charges forward with increased movement speed. He gains a health shield that builds over time while mounted and gains access to 3 special abilities, 2 that allow him to dismount. He will also dismount if the health shield is ever fully depleted after he mounts up. Shining Gallop, the first ability, dismounts with a line damage attack from the horse that slows enemies. Crashing Dive, the second ability, dismounts with a jump from the horse from Lancelot, which roots nearby enemies and deals damage. And the final ability is Utility, which is Quick Turn, allowing Lancelot to quickly turn while mounted. This helps alleviate the long turning circle of the horse while you're mounted. So the general idea of the 3 is to mount up for as long as you need, then use either Shining Gallop for line damage and dismount, or Crashing Dive for AoE damage and dismount, at which point you can go back to using his normal unmounted kit. And finally we have Lancelot's ultimate, the Grand Joust. Lancelot rears his horse and cripples all enemies in a large area, then follows up with a charge attack that deals damage to all enemies hit and refreshes the health shield from being mounted. So that's Lancelot's whole kit. This one does seem to be one of the more simple designs that aims to bring complexity in the way he's used and his combos, not necessarily in the abilities themselves, which are all very simple aside from the 3. There's obviously a lot of parallels to Achilles here with the double dash if you hit an enemy, the cone damage with a closer and longer range area. But he's definitely unique in his own way, and the whole mounted up thing is going to be interesting to play with for sure. I can't wait to ride around the jungle on my horse to get to camps much faster than the enemy jungler can. I think of it not as a stance switch as many people are viewing it, but as an ability with 2 options for a follow-up. I don't really see players staying mounted for very long in combat at all. This is because 1, he can't use regular abilities or basic attack directly from the horse outside of his ult. And 2, the dismount abilities actually look really strong, and I think the better way to handle the horse is just to mount up for a little bit of positioning, then jump off very quickly to get back in the fight and deal damage. Especially if your basic abilities are on cooldown, you could delay a little bit on the horse to wait for them to come back up while you're mounted. But what do you guys think of Lancelot? He looks like a lot of fun. But what do you guys think of Lancelot? Does he look fun to you? Is he too basic or just right? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.